down. Ugh.
There's so much space at your place, Sim.
What? So, oh,
My place, yeah, there's a lot of junk here.
No, I
hey,
I
mean,
hey,
just
hey. I think we're live.
hello.
Apologies for the late start time. This is what happens when
My
you have
fault.
Malaysian guests.
Sorry.
Sim was
Yeah.
here earlier than Zach.
wow. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'm used to Malaysian time since I used to live there. So I'm like, yeah. Well, actually, my first instinct was like, oh no, are they both ghosting me? Because I've had issues with being ghosted. So it's like, oh, started
Oh,
freaking out.
we
But
just
So
we're all
sent
good.
sorry.
you
So sorry.
drama.
We're all good. You showed up. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
So don't cry, Zach. You're here. You made it. So yeah, Zach thought that we were starting an hour later than planned for some reason.
So who here has watched Baby Reindeer? Put your hands up.
Yeah. So,
Oh, wow.
Only you guys.
Yeah. So let me do a quick rundown of I guess how the plan to do this live stream started. So I back in June, I reached out to Zach because I've been wanted to write a memoir, and I reached out to Zach. I'm like, hey, do you have any preferences on how I refer to you in my memoir? Do you want a pseudonym? Do you want to pick your name? Like anything like that? And Zach was like, you can do whatever you want, name me, shame me, like all of this kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to say anything nasty about you, Zach. I've got nothing but nice things to say about you. And Zach was like, oh man, I was hoping for some kind of baby reindeer thing. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I haven't watched that yet. From what I've heard about it, I'm worried about watching it and getting triggered. I should, at the very least, finish writing my memoir before I watch the show, because clearly my memoir is about to some extent my life as in stand-up comedy, and in particular in Malaysia relating to Malaysian stand-up comedians. So and for anyone watching, if you're not familiar, Baby Reindeer is primarily a show like based on a true story. It claims to be a true story, but there is a case it's going through the courts at the
Crazy.
moment
Yeah.
because it's not actually entirely true. And
But
so
sorry to interrupt. But
yes,
did
go
you
ahead.
see the Piers Morgan interview?
I did not know.
You
I
will
need to watch that.
you will find the holes in her story.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So yeah, so I think it went ahead in court because the version that went that aired on Netflix was differed slightly from the stage production of the show.
So,
But yes,
so you can't say like both are the truth, right?
right, exactly. And and the stage production was billed as based on a true story rather than entirely truth, whereas the Netflix show is like, this is an actual true story. So it's like,
Yeah.
where's the
I almost
line,
never
right?
hear that. It's always based on a true story. I almost never hear this is a true story.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. So it is primarily follows an aspiring stand-up comedian who encounters a woman that he shows empathy towards her, and then she basically becomes his stalker. So that's the rundown. So yeah, so I kind of binged it over a few days a couple of weeks ago, so I hope it's still like in my memory enough, but I wrote notes about things to discuss. Zach, do you want to, I've been talking a lot, do you want to have anything to contribute just up front before we get into the conversation?
Oh no, I mean, basically you covered everything very well. The I don't know, the mystery, or like the intrigue of this whole thing is how much of everything is true. Because he feels like, yeah, it was accurate. He says he has receipts. I have emails of her talking about stalking me, and she says otherwise. The Pierce Morgan interview was so weird. Like you can tell she was making things up as she goes along, and like the guy's portrayal of the girl is pretty much what you see in Piers Morgan interview.
Eh.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
my understanding is that the only things that were actually not entirely true was that she wasn't convicted of stalking and she didn't gouge his eyes. Like that was my understanding of the only parts that weren't actually true.
Well, I thought he didn't have enough evidence to prove that, she
Oh.
was, yeah.
So that's
So,
eye gouging.
in the
I think,
I think it's the second last episode.
yeah.
Okay.
So I think, coming from a comedian's point of view, sometimes when we tell our own jokes that are based on real life, we tend to exaggerate things.
Right.
So I think that's how he narrated the whole film as well. And what's it? Even the meltdown that he had, like I saw that video as well. It wasn't anything like what the movie was.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, it was kind of like,
Well, you have to
okay.
dramatize it if you're going to.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, it wasn't really a breakdown or anything. It's just you just see him like at just a corner of the stage, and just going like, oh, and then it.
I clearly need to check out this video because I only watched it from.
It's
from
crazy the
series.
rabbit holes that you go into just to like corroborate, like, okay, is this story what's going on here, what's going on. I mean, when Baby Reindeer was when it was the height of what everybody was watching, that's what everybody was doing. They were just researching what's
Investigating. Well, that
yeah.
was what brought about the lawsuit, right? It was because people tracked her down and started like
Oh,
sending her
no.
abusive messages and stuff, and so she was,
no.
in a lot of distress over that. So I mean, and I can understand that, I mean, and apparently he had been like requesting people don't like try and figure out who she is and that sort of thing, but people do what they do, and it's I learned about this from another friend of ours, Calvin. I was telling him about like this, that we were going to have this conversation and stuff, and because with my memoir, I'm like, I am not very good at the moment, right? The way I've written it right now, I don't hide people's identities very well. I was like, people could probably track down who I'm writing about if they really wanted to. If I leave it as is, right? Because I'm just like, this is how I'm writing it right now. Even though I'm using pseudonyms for pretty much everyone, I go into enough detail. It's like, you could figure it out. And I'm like, don't track people down, or don't like at least reach out and abuse anyone or anything like that. I don't want that sort of thing. But it does.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, like, on that note, if anybody who is single and ladies want to still find out who I am in the book, I don't mind.
Zach, I just had an idea.
Say what your name is in the book. Zach.
Yeah. Maybe Zach and I, you should just put our names in so we know, like, they're
Your
like,
actual name.
okay, this guy is definitely not these two guys, because these two guys are these two other characters. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. So I have, the way I've written it right now, I'm like, I'm talking about who have I live streamed with. So like, if people wanted to, and like have been guests on my Lego live streams, right, which both of you have. So like, people were like, okay, so who are the people let's go have a look at a live stream to see our guests are. Like, that's pretty easy, right?
I thought it's quite ironic that she was like the actual Baby Reindeer girl, woman,
Mm-hmm.
was actually like being harassed by all this like internet people, but because that's also stalking, right? It's
Right.
like you're
Yeah.
finding
I'm
out
not
something.
surprised though. That's what people do. Like
It's like,
with the internet.
how dare you stalk? And then they're stalking her.
That sort of thing happens all the time, even with smaller things, right? If somebody is like, sharing a Karen moment on a video on Twitter or whatever, right? And then people are like, oh, I'm going to make you lose your job. I'm going to get you fired. And like, they will do that.
Yeah, that's also a Karen move. Yeah,
Exactly.
ironically. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised, I guess. And that's the tricky thing. Like, and that's still kind of the aspect that I'm kind of weighing up and struggling with about whether or not I actually put myself out there and publish my memoir, because I'm like, some of the people I've written about, they're totally fine with me writing about them. Is everyone that I've written about going to be okay with what I've written about them? Probably not. So like, I don't know. That's what it is.
So question.
Yes.
I know like we were DMing each other and like you were saying like I haven't watched Baby Reindeer yet, and and I told you like it's the Baby Reindeer is not like the memoirs at all. Your memoirs. I don't know.
So it's not the same. Like but like the reason I was worried about watching is I was worried I was going to be triggered and seeing myself in the stalker character. Now I am not as extreme as Martha, but and I didn't feel triggered in that way that I was worried that I was going to be triggered, because I'm really, the relationship that I primarily wrote about was more mutual than what this connection was in that, it was in Baby Reindeer, it was clearly stalker comedian dynamic, whereas the primary relationship that I write about in my memoir was a mutual friendship kind of thing, rather than I'm stalking someone. But there were moments where I felt like, am I stalking this person at this point? Like the Martha character in Baby Reindeer is what I am afraid of turning into, and so I will hold myself back from things that I want to do because I'm scared of becoming someone like that, right? So that's kind of where I felt more triggered in relating to the story. Now, there were aspects of Baby Reindeer where I also related to Donnie's character, the stand-up comedian, in that as well. So there was like both sides of things. I've been on the end of being temporarily stalked by someone I went like on a couple of dates with. So it was never as extreme as what Donnie experienced in Baby Reindeer, but I understand how scary it can be to even just get a phone call out of the blue from somebody that you've blocked, right?
Right.
Yeah, that would be scary.
So my my thing with Donnie, okay, or even what's his name? Richard Gadd?
Yeah, that's his real name.
I mean, this was like a self-circle jerk self masturbating show. Like, I don't know, but he was just on about himself. He's just like, oh, I'm a struggling comedian. Look at me. Oh. And then he's like, I had to suck dick for this. It's like, no, nobody forced you, dude. Like,
yeah, but if you haven't been in that kind of situation where, okay, so since you've only watched the first half of the first episode,
Zach I couldn't go any further.
No, it's fine. Zach is an content trigger warning moment right now, but Zach is kind of referring to episode 4, where Donnie finds himself being seduced by a professional writer, and then getting taken in by the
drogas.
What the word?
The drogas.
I don't even know what that word is. He's drugs, yes. So this professional writer takes him under his wing after seeing him at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and gets him on drugs, and then basically sexually abuses him. Sexually abuses him while he's under the influence of drugs, and Donnie keeps going back and going back, feeling horrible about himself, but he's like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do if I want to work in the industry as a writer for television and that sort of thing. If you've not been abused, I don't think that you can judge him for that. As someone who has experienced not exactly the same kind of trauma, but similar trauma, I could understand what was going on with that. Like it made a lot of sense to me.
Wow. Yeah. I was kind of like, when Zach said it, I was kind of like hoping that it was a metaphor. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, I have to suck dick. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, we all have to suck dick. I'm like, I hope that was him. That's what he means. But
no, he meant literally.
Right,
yeah.
literally. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was not. But you know, so much. I think there are so many stories like that that are untold, right, in the industry. That honestly, it felt very brave for him to even express that, in my perspective, and to be able to talk about that. Now, how much of it's true? I don't know. As we've established, based on a true story, we don't know how much was actually true, right? But still very, very serious stuff. And it was that experience that kind of opened up the gates for why he was so intrigued by being stalked by Martha. Because even though he was concerned about it, there was also an element of him being attracted to it, because like Martha saw him in the way that he wanted to be seen, right? She saw him as like this, you know, interesting person, and you know that that he felt more attractive around her, I guess. So it felt like a really complex story, and something that I related to a lot in that kind of sense. Yeah. It's tricky. There are a few quotes in the thing that I'm just like, oh yeah. So let me look. I wrote notes, Zach, as I was watching. I was like, oh, I want to bring this up. So yeah, okay. So from episode 6, is it this? No, that's not that one. Which one is the one I wanted to bring up? Oh yeah, episode 4. Okay, so he said of Martha, Donnie said of Martha, she saw me the way I wanted to be seen. Like that was a direct quote from the show, and what I wrote of my notes, I'm just like, that hit me really hard, because that's exactly why I fell in love with somebody, with the guy that I wrote my memoir about. I was like, I fell in love with him because he saw me the way I wanted to be seen. And that helped me fall in love with myself. It helped me love myself in a way that I hadn't prior to that. And yeah, so it's complex. And that's why I said, like, my memoir is not like this story, because you know, that was a mutual attraction. It was like, that was not my stalker seeing me the way that I wanted to be seen.
I before the stream started, before Zach got here, I was actually saying to Dom, I was like, I'm not sure, like we'll just follow your lead, because like I'm not sure like how much your viewers know about your memoir and the story behind it and all that, and about how you're dealing with like things in your life. So like, yeah, so in a way we kind of like what can we talk about and not talk about?
I
we'll kind of follow you.
Well, Zach, I haven't even spoken to at all about that side of the memoir.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether Zach has seen anything that I've shared that's related to that.
I'm sorry, what?
That my memoir is about falling in love with somebody in Malaysia, and things not working out the way that I wanted them to.
Mm. So, okay, movie review aside,
Yes, what?
take us through the chapters of your memoirs. Like,
Oh,
okay,
goodness.
how long is it? All right, is audiobook
Yeah.
available?
Well, right now it's in first draft state, although I've started writing another chapter as of yesterday. So who knows how it's going to turn out in the end. I don't know. I think I had like 27 chapters as of early October, which was about 204,000 words. And I'm like, I'm not. It's like 600 pages. Okay, I'm like, I don't think I can publish it at this length. It's very long, very detailed, and very
Ooh,
personal. And hmm,
why
um,
not do the director's cut? Or
we'll see. Right now, I have conflicting feelings at the moment about whether or not it's too personal about the main subject of the memoir, who's not me. Like, because there's a part of me that still is, even though I feel like he closed the book on our friendship. There's still always going to be a part of me that wants to reconnect as friends at some point in the future. And I feel like if I publish it in its current form, that would be like saying, yeah, that's never going to happen. So I'm just like, So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Yeah. Which kind of brings up another, like, bring it back to Baby Reindeer, right? Okay, so one of the, Zach, you talked about the confession that Donnie made on stage, like, him going in his thing about his, talking about his rape and all of that. One quote that I really loved from that, in it was in episode 6. He said there was what, because he was talking about the trans woman that he fell in love with, and fucked up that relationship. And so he said there was one thing that he loved more than he loved her, and that was hating himself. Okay. And I connected to that because I felt like that was the downfall of my relationship with this person that my memoir is about. It's like, he fucked things up because he didn't believe that it was worth pursuing our relationship as it was, and he I do think hated himself more than he believed in our ability to have a secure, healthy relationship long term. Yeah. Yeah, very sad, right? It was a lot more complex than that, but that was definitely an element to it. So I was like, yeah, that's fucked up. But people make decisions like that all the time. If you don't love yourself, if you don't believe that you're worthy of a healthy relationship, then you don't think that you deserve to have that, and so you end up sabotaging the connection and pushing away the person who loves you the most. But that's one of the reasons that my... Sorry, go ahead.
No. Sorry. Go finish your sentence.
Oh, I was going to say, that's one of the reasons I feel like my memoir is so valuable, because that's kind of the lesson that I'm sharing, is like, you can have an amazing connection and still fuck it up because of getting in your head about the negatives, that it not going to work, or your fears and anxiety and depression and all of that kind of stuff, and trauma that's unhealed trauma that you haven't dealt with. You don't understand what's actually going on. You get into your fight or flight, freeze, fawn responses, survival responses, because you don't know how to handle what's what's happening right in front of you. You don't know how to take a step back. You don't know how to, and then when you ghost or take some space, you don't know how to then reach out to try and come back together because you realize that you fucked things up. I say this is because so the thing with my story is our connection, we were together for a few months, and then after I moved here, he ghosted me. We didn't communicate for like 9 years, and then we reconnected when I went back to Malaysia last year, and so I learned from that what was actually going on and what the fear that prevented him from reaching out to me during all of that time, and my perception was very different from what was the actual reality. And most people don't have those kinds of opportunities and don't feel like they can reach out and reconnect after situations like that. I never expected it was something that was going to happen, and was just lucky that it did. And then it sucks that it happened again. So yeah.
Ooh. So who's this person?
Oh no, I am not naming him on this
Nobody's
stream.
gonna know except for
Zach, I published a 26,000 word blog post, including photos. If you really want to know, go check out my blog.
Wow, what a way to plug your own shit. Like, hey, you want to know more? Check out my blog post.
I'm not making any money from this. I really should. This is why I need to publish the memoir. If you really want to have the full story, send me money for it.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like it's tricky. I feel like exploitative. I never set out to live this experience with the intention of writing a whole book about it, right? But it kind of came about as a result of me being so fucking pissed off that was how he chose to end things. Like, God damn you.
Like through text?
No. It was well, he ghosted me, and then I went back to Malaysia again. As you saw, I was back in May. That was after he'd ghosted me after my previous trip. And I was like, fuck you for ghosting me again. I'm coming back to track you down and get some answers. Like that was the whole reason I went back in May.
Wow.
If you'd joined us for dinner that last night, Zach, if you hadn't hurt your foot. Sim knows he was at the dinner.
Yeah, it was.
But Sim looks like clueless. Sim, do you know who we're talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sim was supporting me throughout the whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Well,
But
Sim
I
doesn't look
I
like
do-
he's.
I know, and I'm like only learning that you don't know right now.
I don't know who read my blog post at this point, right? Like it had
I don't
it had a
yeah.
lot of Malaysian views, so I have no idea who knows and who doesn't at this point.
I
Okay,
don't know.
and Sim's wife, Si Ming, she shared the blog post with her 5,000
everybody
Facebook
knows now.
friends, and then like everyone was reading. I was like, oh my god,
Even people who don't know you know.
right?
I think.
Exactly. Like friends of Si Ming's who have no idea who I am. We're like, oh right, this is such a tragic love story.
This is good. I mean, okay. So for context, right, Sim? In Baby Reindeer, the minute that the main character Donnie Dunn, had his like meltdown on stage, is the catalyst that shot him to fame. Like,
oh, okay. So,
somebody
not
in the
only
somebody in the audience filmed it on their phone and uploaded it, and it went viral.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And then
I'm thinking this blog post, if you put it in Reddit, could shoot
my
you
God,
up.
I'm not. I should not. I'm absolutely not.
You know,
although
and
I've had stupid fantasies about
which Reddit and what other forums are the most toxic? The most toxic people.
I don't.
Doxers and you're gonna go viral.
I had a friend comment to me that he's been reading like toxic stuff on Reddit recently, and they get the same all the same responses on those relationship advice things and stuff, like, you know,
Yeah.
ditch him and leave him and like all of that kind of thing. And I'm just like, yeah, I could not put my story out there like that. I'm fine with my blog where, you know, maybe a couple hundred people viewed it. That's enough. That's fine for me.
Just now you said like you're still figuring out whether you're Donnie or whether you're Martha.
No,
right?
I've related both of the characters in different ways.
Yeah.
No, so what I was going to say was
I think
that
the only. Sorry.
No, I want to hear what you have said first.
I think the only Martha coming from you was when you came back.
Yeah, no, that exactly. That was where, and so what was going through my head then, it was like, I am either a stalker or the protagonist of a movie, and the only way to know the difference is how he reacts to me doing this.
The only way to know the difference is if I write the story and I make myself the protagonist.
No, because like if I go there and like he is like, oh, you came back for it, then you know, it's like, oh, I'm, you know, the love interest or whatever. But if I go that and he's like, oh, get away from it, then I'm like, oh, now I'm the stalker. Okay, so and neither of those things exactly happened, but it was complex. Yeah, that's all. It was complex.
Yeah. I feel there is a Netflix movie here, you know, like a Netflix Malaysia original.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing. Okay.
Mini Baby Reindeer.
So this is what I was going to go into. So we talked about how people tracked down the real Martha, right? So I had like stupid fantasy is like, because clearly as I said, I've not concealed anyone's identity. I'm like very detailed. It's very easy to figure out who people are. And so I had this really dumb fantasy. I was like, well, maybe, you know, it would lead to people tracking him down and like becoming huge fans of his, and then he'd get like a whole bunch of new followers. Right? Then maybe he'd be like happy that I shared this, because
your faith
now he's got
humanity
fans, right?
is so strong.
It's so stupid, right? Like I'm like, this is how dumb my mindset is.
Stalk him, threaten him.
No. I don't feel like, even though I've obviously written about him ghosting me twice, which is not great behavior. I don't feel like I paint him in like a terrible light, right? Like I said, there's still a part of me that would love to reconnect as friends at some point in the future. I don't know that that's possible. My therapist seems to think that I should still try and reach out again. I'm like, I told him I was going to leave him alone. I'm like, I feel like that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
So you did tell me this, and I did tell you I don't agree with your therapist, although I'm not a therapist, but I'm like, because it's like you said, okay, you're not getting very solid answers. You're going to go there and get very solid answers. And then you got one.
Yeah.
And then now you're like, maybe that's not a solid answer.
I know, right?
So it's like,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like,
Wait. Did you get a solid answer, or you were not satisfied with the answer he gave you?
I mean, I was not 100% satisfied, but it's also felt like a solid answer. It was more just like, you know, he seemed to have made his decision, and I'm like, I'm not going to be, you know, begging for him. Like, if he's made his decision, then, you know, there's not really anything else I can do about that, right? Like, I don't want to try and I don't want to lower myself and not, you know, have self-respect for myself just to beg him to change his mind, right? If he's already come to his own conclusion, and, you know, and I was very clear and asked him things like, you know, are you sure that you're not going to change your mind after you've had time to process this last conversation that we're having right now? And he seemed very sure in that moment. But, you know, I still walked away thinking, yeah, you're going to change your mind at some point in the future, of you realizing that you fucked up here. and you're going to get to the point of like what happened before, feeling like you can't reach out to me because you know you fucked up. So that's where the kind of conundrum comes in for me. But I mean, with everything that I've done, I still feel like it should be his responsibility to reach out and apologize to me if he wants to reconnect. But I also left things like I was closing the door during that last conversation, and probably also gave him the impression that I didn't want to hear from him again too. So it's like complicated.
I kind of feel like he kind of gave a like definitive answer, and yeah. I feel like sometimes it's like we get very spoiled by movies.
That's yeah.
But because like in reality it's like kind of different. In reality, we tell like men and women like no means no, right? And then it's like someone says like okay, that's I mean that's usually like in relations to like sexual relations, but also kind of like as an answer in general, it's like okay, I've made my decision, and then like I'll respect your decision, you respect my decision. But then in a movie, it's like the girl will say like, no, I'm gonna do this other thing now. I don't wanna deal with your bullshit. And then the guy pulls her in for a kiss, and then the music comes on, and then it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, she realizes that she loves him, and then like that's a happy ending, and they live forever, like
and
like
it's that kind of storytelling that I was brought up on that makes me want to have that kind of story in my own life, right? Like I'm just like, I want to have the rom-com fantasy. I want to have
but in reality it doesn't.
Yeah, I know it doesn't in reality. But it's tricky. Like some of my stand-up relates to this sort of thing. I had this joke that I was doing not that long ago where I talked about my ex-husband won me back because he chased me down and it made me feel like I was the protagonist in or the romantic love interest in a rom-com. And then that was like because we'd been dating for like a week and I broke up with him and he didn't like that, so he chased me down. So like I was like, oh, this feels great, right?
You dated your ex-husband for a week
when we first got together. we dated for like a week, and then I was like, okay. Red flags, and I like, I can't do this. And then he was like, oh, let's meet up again as just as friends. And it turned out that he hadn't told anyone that we'd broken up and like all of this stuff. So I was like, and he won me back, right? I was like, oh, there's like somebody actually wants me. Like that was attractive to me. So I wrote stand-up about this, and I wrote stand-up about how because of these rom-com stories, like if you really love someone, you chase after them, and so like that's what I did with this guy in Malaysia. Like, I'm going to chase after him. Like, no, it doesn't always work like that. But
yeah.
But yeah, so it's tricky. So clearly, like, I have those kinds of fantasies, and I've also, like, as I've been working on this memoir, discovered like I thought I had an anxious attachment style, realized that in certain circumstances I also have avoidant attachment. I'm actually a disorganized attachment, and one thing that I will do is that I will get freaked out in a relationship sometimes and abandon or want to abandon the situation, but then like almost immediately afterwards will try and come back. And some people can handle it, some people can't. And that's kind of what happened in this situation. Was I freaked out about things back in January, just as I was leaving Malaysia, and things came out of my mouth the wrong way. And I said something that I didn't really mean, but and I was like the moment I said it, I was like, fuck, I can't take that back now. So I get into these things where I'm just like, I feel like I need to break things off because things aren't working out, or I'm not able to say what it is that I want to say. And then immediately I want the person to chase me or tell me no, don't, like let's stick together and make this work. And this is not exclusive to this particular situation that my memoir is about. Like I've done it to other people too. So it's complex. Relationships are complex, and movies are terrible at giving us advice about what to do with them.
It's so unhealthy.
It's so unhealthy.
Movies are just like suggestions, like
It's like we gotta wrap this up in another 15 minutes. Okay, we need a happy ending. The script
Right,
is
exactly.
The script's been going down. Now it's time to go up. Yeah.
So that's what I kind of feel like with my memoir right now. Like now it does not have a happy ending, and I feel like my audience, whoever ends up reading, is going to be really disappointed that it doesn't have that Hollywood ending, even though like in the very beginning, in the opening, it's like it's not a Hollywood happy ending. I'm sorry.
I mean, you need a Hollywood happy ending?
I would love to have a Hollywood happy ending. It's not happened for me so far. So
maybe that's what Martha in Baby Reindeer was looking for. Like, this story needs a happy ending.
Oh, okay. So that reminds me of another thing that I made a note about. Let's see which page is. Okay, so in episode 3 of Baby Reindeer, let's get it back to the discussion at hand. In episode 3 of Baby Reindeer, Donnie does a fake breakup with Martha, like because she clearly thinks that they're involved with each other, they're in a relationship, and so Donnie just comes up to her and he's like, we're going to I'm going to end things now. Like let's respect. Can you respect my boundaries? Like, leave me alone. At this point, just we'll do it now so it can keep the fantasy alive about what our relationship was, so that you don't in the future, things get fucked up or whatever. I'm just like, yeah. I kind of feel my note about that was I kind of felt like that's what I was doing with my memoir. Is I regaled it into the kind of fantasy realm. It was this is my fantasy of what actually happened. Even though I don't mince words, I'm very detailed about the things that were not working in that relationship as well. Zach's very curious.
This stream is just me watching Zach. And kind of following,
because he's learning all this stuff that you already know about him.
Yeah, so I'm kind of following your lead, but kind of following Zach's lead as well. It's we're stepping on eggshells here.
Yeah. So your blog spot is what?
I will share it with you after the stream, because I don't want you to be like, oh, it's him, and then accidentally say his name on the stream.
Anyway, yeah, you can just ask her who it is.
No. I'm very, very specific about I'm not actually using people's names. But look at the pictures on the blog post. That gives you your answer.
I forgot about the pictures.
Seriously.
Okay. So it's
one of the pictures.
Oh my god, I forgot about the pictures. So it's you have changed all the names. And then it's so easy to find out.
Change the names, but here's what he looks like. If you know who it is, you know who it is. Yeah, I should probably take down the blog post before I publish the memoirs to make it more obvious.
Yeah.
We'll see how things go. Let's get back to Baby Reindeer. Is there anything else that we want to discuss that's not connected to my memoir?
How would you rate Baby Reindeer? Is it out of 10, as a Netflix series, as a story or drama series?
I mean, I can understand why it won the Emmys that it did, because it was very good storytelling. Obviously it gave me a lot of thoughts, especially considering I related to so many things in it. I wanted to have a conversation about it, right? And but it's not for everyone. I would say it's definitely not a series for everyone. If you are someone who is potentially going to be triggered by the kind of content that is in it, don't watch it. Like, just don't. I've been through some pretty traumatic experiences in my life, and so I can still watch stuff like that if I'm prepared for it. I wasn't entirely prepared for episode 4 because I didn't know that was coming. But I mean, it made sense in the context of the show. I did feel like it was a very valuable story to tell. But like I said, it's not a show for everyone.
Were there particular moments in the series? Like, I know there were instances where you were relatable, but that really triggered you, like, kind of like.
It really triggered me.
Yeah.
Not in a negative way. It was more just like the quotes that I read up and read on this stream so far. The things that came up. And there's another one. Let's see. Is there something else? I feel like there was something else. I'm sure there were other ones that I don't think there's anything that I. Oh yeah, so in the last episode, right? He after he's gotten famous from his the video going viral and stuff, and he's had the opportunity to appear on various things. Then he gets out of the limelight and starts going through and listening to all of her voicemail messages, right? And categorizes them and all of this. Like, he becomes obsessed with her, right? In trying to understand her. And that I was like, that's so much like what I did with my memoir. Like, all the research that I did to work on my memoir, going through all old WhatsApp conversations and messenger conversations and that sort of thing, and old journal entries, just to kind of piece together everything that happened, and him kind of trying to still find some empathy for her. I think that's something that I am prone to do. Even when somebody treats me badly, I still am inclined to try to understand what was going on with them and understand and empathize, because I don't know, like I just, in some ways, I don't know, maybe it's because I hate myself. In some ways I'm like, I need to understand why this person treated me so badly, or just curiosity, my natural inclination to want to understand people's motivations, what causes them to do things that they do, especially if it's very different from how I would behave in a situation. So yeah, I found that part really intriguing, that he got that obsessed with. I don't feel like I didn't have thousands of voicemail messages to listen to, thank God. that seemed like crazy, or a bit much, but I kind of understand what was going on with that, just because of my inclination to go to that kind of depth of needing to understand what was going on.
Seems like your memoirs is heavily and thoughtfully researched.
Yes, it is.
It's just not you penning out your anger and frustrations and
No,
yeah.
it is very much more of a love story than it is that. It's just it's so one of my recent jokes is like I'm like the reason I'm single is I'm addicted to tragic love stories. And clearly that's what this memoir is. It's a tragic love story. It doesn't like it's a love story, but it doesn't end happily.
There you go. There's your
drama
next Netflix
drama
original.
writer's curse.
Exactly.
It's that we
Like,
have to
clearly-
live a dramatic life.
that is what the kind of life I have to live. I can't just my life can't just be easy. And that's the impact of trauma, right? It though is like when you start to feel like you're in a safe and secure relationship, and this is what it felt like to me when I was in Malaysia in January. It was I was with him and I'm just like I felt safe with him, and then suddenly I felt like shit, I don't deserve to feel this cared for. And so I went into self-sabotage mode, and I was like, and started getting in my head about things, and making assumptions rather than asking for clarity. So I think part of my memoir is like, here are the mistakes that I made, so that you can avoid them in your own life.
Right. Intriguing. You have piqued my interest.
Okay, so Zach, the one of the reasons that I reached out to you about like that I knew that I was going to have to write about you in the memoir was because do you remember when when we got together that last night in KL last year, and we got dinner together, and you were like, so you were up pretty late last night, right? And I was like, avoiding answering. Do you remember that conversation?
This
Vaguely.
is the last trip that you were in Malaysia.
In September last year.
So the second last.
No, my first trip back, which was September last year. And Zach and I were getting together for dinner. We had tried to invite other people, but everyone else was busy. And so we got together and had dinner. And I'd message him, I think, at like 2:00 in the morning to like confirm. It's like, yes. Or like to suggest an idea about where to meet or something. And yeah, so when we got together for dinner, Zach was like, so you were up pretty late last night. I'm like, yep. And Zach was with me before I like the day before as well. We got together for lunch, right, with Kevin. And then so we went to the Kopitiam and met Chiho there as well. And so I left. I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm meeting someone else now. So do you remember asking me who I was with? And I was like, I'm not telling you.
Why don't you just give him the blog post link now?
I'm going to give it to him later after the stream.
You guys love teasing me, huh?
I am
it's not me. It's not me. I'm not
all
doing it.
About the tease. Anyway, so that was why I was like, yeah, I guess I need to write about Zach, because that's an incident that needs to kind of come up. It's like me avoiding telling somebody else what was going on.
I don't know. I'm being portrayed like a smart character, you know? Like
You said I could name you and shame you, Zach. Wow.
Maybe it's, I don't know.
I mean, I thought I was like a you know, like an important character that kind of the guy who inspires your why, or the guy who triggered you to being the villain of the story.
Oh.
Zach, I
Um,
think if this is like a baby reindeer story, I think it's better to be the dumb character.
yeah, I think so.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, Sim has
Unlike
tried.
the guys in the back room, like watching the videos, like who?
Yeah.
Zach, honestly, most people were oblivious to the situation. It's only been as a result of him refusing to have a proper adult conversation with me that led to me being like, "Well, fuck you, I'm gonna out the whole thing." Like that was kind of what was going. That wasn't entirely my motivation. It was more like I need to get this out to process what I actually went through. But there was
Mm.
definitely an element of, well, if you're not going to respect me enough to have an proper adult conversation with me, then I need to deal with this in another way to process what I was going through, to come
Understood.
to some kind of closure or resolution or understanding for myself.
So does this mean you're not coming back to KL
Oh
anymore?
no. Okay, so that's one of the things that came out from this is like, so when this guy ghosted me after I moved here,
Mm-hmm.
because we had so many mutual friends and I was not there and he was, I was like, I guess I should distance myself from everyone and let him have all of these friendships. And that was fucked up on my part. I'm like, that's not fair for me, right? Like I'm losing all of my friends there. So that was kind of part of the instigation that led to me going back to Malaysia last year. It was like, I'm not going to let him control my ability to see my friends. And I mean, part of it
Mm.
was also like, I want to see if we can rekindle our friendship with him. That was the main motivator. And we did temporarily. um, Except it was rekindled as a little bit more than friends. But anyway, I'm going to
Does
too
that
much
mean what?
detail.
You had sex?
Yes, Zach, that was what I was implying. Jeez.
Just say, man. Why such an author thing to
That's
do,
that
like
was why I
figure
was
it out yourself.
Zach,
I'm
Zach,
just-
that was why I was up and messaged you at 2 a.m. before my last night that we had dinner in Malaysia last September. Um, I
I'm,
did not
I'm glad
intend.
I was your afterthought. It's like, I just had sex. I'm gonna message Zach.
more more for a slightly different reason because he wanted to see me again the next night. But anyway, I was like, gotta make some adjustments here. And I had plans with Zach. So let's meet at this place so that I can keep these other plans too. Um, that was what was going on in my head at that time. We have like 5 viewers right now. Am I like gossiping too much? People are intrigued, but not actually saying anything in the chat. Like I'm genuinely curious because right now we're not even talking about Baby Reindeer anymore.
Yeah.
It's better than the
But
baby
okay,
reindeer. It's the
you,
next
you
baby reindeer.
yeah, because you mentioned that you are still kind of writing, like you have finished writing your memoir, right? It's
Right.
like the
Yeah. I was
kind
like,
of
it's
like the first
done.
draft, but
Yes.
then you're kind of writing like
Right. Well, because Sim,
your
as you know,
further thoughts on it.
because Sim, as you know, 2 weeks ago, I reached out to you when I was making some poor decisions, and
Uh-huh.
and you got me out of that place that I was in at that time to have a conversation with me. So like, it's still like a struggle. Like I know it's been
Yeah.
4.5 months since I was there and had this conversation that was supposed to be a final conversation, but
Uh-huh.
I'm not, like, even writing and processing it through my memoir, I'm still not over it. It's not easy, right? It's not easy to detach and let go. So yeah, it's you know even in my memoir, like I said, we went 9 years or 9.5 years without communicating with each other, right? And or a little over 9 years, and I still wrote about like all of the things that I went through at that time, and any incident that came up where I was still like, he crossed my mind, or I had a thought even without me trying to reach out to him. So that's just how meaningful that relationship was to me, even if it didn't work out, right?
So
It's hard to let go.
So when you first started writing, I was thinking like, yeah, this is what you need to do, and it's healthy for you. And then now it's sort of like it's done, but you keep you keep opening more chapters to write about, and I'm like, maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
No, and that's the thing. Like once it was finished, I thought, I was really hoping, I'm like, okay, this was going to be closed now, and I felt like it made things worse in a way. Like clearly I needed to write it out, but I'm also like, but it also made me see things in a different light that I hadn't seen as I was experiencing it and living through it, right? So it's like, now I'm opening up other doors that I don't have answers for.
Yeah. Okay.
I may not actually publish the stuff that I'm writing right now. Like I might decide to avoid that.
If the new chapters take a turn towards like Baby Reindeer, can you delete this stream?
Yes, that was probably good for my own part if I do that.
Yeah.
We don't want to be identified in the memoir. This will make it obvious who we are. Yeah. Anyway, so Zach, so I was answering your question before.
I just heard a noise, but I don't think I have to investigate it yet. Okay.
So I sidetracked, but Zach, you were asking, does this mean that I won't come back to Malaysia? And my non-sidetracked answer is no. I do plan on coming back when I have the opportunity to do so. One of the things that I asked him during our final conversation was, would you feel uncomfortable with me being in the audience at a show that you're performing at? Because clearly it's obviously a stand-up comedian that I was talking about. And he said he would be fine with, with me coming to a show. So like, he's not going to, I don't know, get pissed off at me being there, I guess. But he did say that he wouldn't talk to me if I did come to a show that he's at. I was like, well, that sucks. But like, the main thing is like, I'm not allowing this to prevent me from maintaining my friendships with other people in Malaysia. I still have an affinity for the country. I still miss it. And I've run out of rose syrup from my last trip, and I clearly need to come back and buy some more. To make more bandung. You can't get it in the US as far as I've seen, Zach. I need more bandung, and my daughter loves it, and she's like, we need some more. You need to go back to Malaysia.
Tell them to send them to the AA meeting. Tell him he's addicted.
Yeah. Send up the Malaysian PSAs to cut down on sugar. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've both said that you are interested in coming out to visit me in the US as well. So when you do, bring me rose syrup. That's my only request.
I will definitely do that.
Any festivals happening soon?
SF Sketchfest. I told you to submit to that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You said you weren't interested in coming in January, so submissions are already closed for that now. Sorry. There's I keep seeing ads for like I guess some stand-up workshop thing with a couple of kind of well-known comedians. I think I knew the names of two of them, but Patrick Warburton was on the list. Somebody else, Jay Leno, maybe. I don't know. If something like that is something you'd be interested in, that's in LA. It's like I can't travel down there for that. Kids and all other things I have to worry about, and I'm unemployed right now, so you know.
How's that going?
I might have some contract work that is going to come my way. I have a meeting with somebody about that on Friday. And it's potentially a 6-week full-time contract. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But I mean, I need an actual full-time job. or just publish my memoir and make it famous and make money that way.
I guarantee you, Sim will binge watch it in one night.
If it's made into a Netflix series, maybe.
Binge watch it in one night. I don't know. I have a tendency to binge watch a lot of things, but like things where there's like stalking and eye gouging and like sucking someone's dick. I'm like, no.
No, that's too much. No. And that's the thing. Like I have some detailed sex scenes in my memoir right now. I don't know if it's for everyone. But I just have an interesting memory. I guess that's why I'm like I'm sure it's too long right now. I need to edit it down, and I don't know what I'm going to cut yet. Just waiting to see what people say from my first readers who I've sent it to so far, including my therapist. What's Zach looking at?
No, I'm just wondering why would your therapist be the first one to?
Oh, because there's so much trauma in my memoir, and she needs to help me process it. But also because she's been following the story since I started seeing her last year, right? Like, this is how bad things have gotten, Zach. My most recent stand-up that I wrote, which I performed over the last couple of weeks, is I talked about how my therapist started following him on Instagram, and I was like, "What? Like,
what?
Yes." Like, what is going on right now? Why?
That reaction.
So I was like, my therapist has turned into my enabler rather than actually giving me sounded advice.
I think that is, yes. I think that is a bit of that happening.
That's bullshit. So you need to toss me up a little more, so then she will follow me.
All right, I will tell her about you next, Zach. But no, I mean seriously, when she told me that, I was like, "What is going on right now?" Like, and my immediate thought was like, clearly, I need to talk about this in stand-up because this is ridiculous. So yeah, that was one of my most recent things that I talked about in stand-up. Once I get the video back from that show last Friday, I'll probably upload it. I'm doing an open mic tomorrow night. If anyone is watching in the San Francisco Bay Area wants to come see me do stand-up comedy at an open mic night, I'm doing Alameda Comedy Club tomorrow night at 8:15. That's Thursday.
How many people are watching?
24th. There's 4 people apparently watching right now.
Oh.
Nobody's said anything in the chat that I can see,
including us.
in the comments in the chat.
It's either the characters from your book or
they don't want to admit that they're watching.
or it could be people are here for Lego. It's like, what happened to the Lego? Oh my god!
No, I'm pretty sure that they would not have continued watching after all this time. Like, it's been
I was here to
consistent number
see
of
her
viewers.
put bricks together.
This is more viewers than I usually get for my Lego streams. So clearly I need to do more of this kind of conversation. But let's maybe in the future stick to the actual topic at hand of the show that we're planning on talking about.
I'm just a follower here.
I'm just saying, like, you know, the people will tune into the more interesting topic at hand.
But my speculation of my memoir stuff, is that what you're saying, Zach?
Correct, Mundo.
Yeah. People like the gossip, but they don't want to admit that they're. That's why there's no comments. Nobody wants to admit that they're watching for that reason.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all right. You know, like you know what's popular on TikTok is like those. I just like some random Karen or Kevin would be like, okay, so this happened to me, right? And then they'll tell the story. People will get sucked in. Oh, there's now 5 people watching, and they get sucked in, and then you want to see part 1, part 2, part 3, right? And you would notice that these videos are the only videos they have that are like more than 100,000 views. The rest of them is just like, you know, nothing.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah. But there's this kind of like streaming kind of rule or guideline where you don't actually acknowledge the audience that are not commenting.
Oh, shush. I'm autistic.
No, because,
I don't know social rules.
no, because it's sort of like, yeah, some people just want to hang out.
Yeah.
And then like when they do comment, you kind of say hi to them, but you don't like come back like 5 minutes later and ask them another question because they might not be there yet. You know.
No, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
No, it for me right now it's more of just a surprise that we actually have viewers at all, because I usually don't have any viewers on my stream. Or like one person who is a good fan of my Lego streams and will pop in for most of them now. But aside from that, I don't really have people. So I mean, this has been fun. I feel like it would be cool to have more actual specific topic discussions in the future, if I can schedule it on Malaysian time 45 minutes later than it's supposed to start.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's this Baby Reindeer content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hopefully the people that tuned in were actually interested in people talking about the show, because we did talk about it a little bit. Right? Yeah.
Because okay, so the I guess we talked about it enough to cover it without giving that much spoilers for Sim. So Sim,
he's not gonna watch it. He's not gonna watch it.
It's too uncomfortable for me. I'm very squeamish. I cannot. Yeah, like
there's no squeamish part though.
I don't know, like the way like
episode 4, I think is quite intense.
Okay, I just watched the first episode and I know that she's got, because like it's such a famous story at that time. I was like, okay, we all know she's gonna turn into a stalker later on, and then I saw him flirting with her. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I can't watch this. This is too like cringe.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, that was something that I was going to comment on, right? Is that, you know, that came about because, you know, she started stalking him because he gave her attention that she wasn't used to getting from people as well. And it's so easy to get sucked into that kind of thing. Like if you were starved for attention, any kind of act of kindness can lead to you know, a level of interest in another person. That's why, like, even relationships where, you know, somebody is breadcrumbing the other person, clearly not showing like a huge amount of interest, even the breadcrumb of interest is enough to keep the person hooked that they want to keep coming back, right? And so yeah, that just seems so common. And like these days, relationships are so hard. Like everyone is so disconnected and nobody wants to open up and be vulnerable, like really vulnerable, to have the kind of connection that you need to to, you know, to speak up about things, to have the kind of connection that everyone's craving. Everyone's too scared to be that open that they wind up, you know, sabotaging themselves or not saying how they're really feeling. You know, in my case, not telling the person that I was in love with him. Like I'm just like, I don't think he's ready to hear that, so I'm not going to tell him. And I was like that for months. So, you know, like it's so hard to for people these days with dating apps and people feeling like, you know, you can just find another person just available. You know, hookups are so common. Nobody feels comfortable getting as deep as they need to in order to have a fulfilling relationship.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I like that term, breadcrumbing. I think I'm gonna use it in one of my bits.
You're welcome, Sim.
Thank you. Yeah, because I have that one where I don't know how to talk to women, and then like when I see an attractive woman, I'm like, oh, she's so attractive. I bet she's a bitch. And then like, and then when she starts acting normal, I'm feeling like, oh, she's dropping me, kind of like in your terms, dropping me a breadcrumb, right?
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, she must like me, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think I'll explore that.
Yeah, and it's a thing, like, you know, I mean, one of the things that came up with my relationship that I write about in my memoir is that you know, one of the things that that came up in our final conversation was he had felt like I'd given him the impression that our time together meant nothing to me, and I was like, how the fuck did you think that? I flew to Malaysia 3 times to see you. What's going on here? But like for me, I felt like I was on the receiving end of mixed signals from him. And so I didn't know where I stood with him half the time. Like he showed me signs that he was interested, and then sometimes he'd disappear on me and I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to feel comfortable opening myself up to you to the extent that I want to, because I don't feel like you're at the same level I'm at of where I want this to be. And so I was holding back. And then I was also holding back for reasons of, you know, he described me as like I was this perfect woman, right? And putting me up on a pedestal. And he's not the only person that's done this to me, and I hate it, honestly. But, you know, some guys feel this way about me. And I'm just like, but when you put me up on a pedestal, then what I feel like I can't do anything wrong, and then it holds me back from really expressing my whole authentic self, because I'm worried that I'm going to be taken off the pedestal and then abandoned. And it makes it hard to have a proper relationship with someone when you kind of put in that position. Yeah,
I think you both needed to be clearer.
Oh yeah, we did.
Ideally, like, relationships, like communications for relationships, should be like just like a business deal. It's like
yes. Let's have a conversation about these difficult topics right now, or let's schedule a time to have these conversations so that we can have, you know,
on this date you said this,
right?
Yeah, I'm taking you literally.
That's what my memoir is now. Like, let's backtrack and see what actually happened in the situation.
Yeah, because otherwise, what do you go by? It's like, no, I said that, but I meant this. Then it's like, then nobody's accountable for anything.
You need to first come together, though, and acknowledge your love and appreciation for the person, so that they know that you, whatever negative thing you have to say doesn't mean that you don't love them. What it actually means is, you know, you love this person enough that you want to make things work, and you want to work through these difficult times. And not everyone can do that, right? Clearly, in my situation, he wasn't interested in doing that. and I had to deal with that, right? And I also abandoned the situation. Like, I don't feel like I can deal with this and have the proper conversation that I want to have, so I ran away a little bit, and then I tried to come back, and at that point it's like things just, it's too tricky. And you know, if he came to the conclusion that we just weren't meant to be, then you know, how do you argue with that? Like, you can't. Yeah. And I don't want to be a Martha. So I can fly back to Malaysia, but just not to stalk him.
I don't think you're a Martha.
Yeah, because I try
By
to
the way, when I reference you're just like Baby Reindeer, like I was what? Referring to you as the comedian.
Johnny? Yeah.
Yes, and who just
So what? Okay, so because when you said that you were hoping that my memoir was a Baby Reindeer kind of story, but you were talking about in reference to you as well, like in your part of the story, like, were you the Martha then? Because you never did anything like that.
No, you will never.
No.
No.
No, there's yeah, I never had any stalkers in Malaysia. I had people told me about people gossiping about me and a different comedian, because that comedian told me that people kept gossiping about us and thinking that we were sleeping together. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Because we're not sleeping together. But like, there were just, you know, constant rumors, and it sucks, like, as a woman in the scene, to know that this kind of thing is going on. And that was one of the reasons that my actual relationship with the comedian was kept quiet, right? Because we didn't want people gossiping about us.
So who was the comedian that people thought you were having a?
Who people thought I was sleeping with that I wasn't?
Yes.
Did you never hear any of those things?
Nope.
It's
Augustine.
Not. It's not either of us, is it?
No.
Okay.
No,
Right.
no,
That's
Augustine.
Good. Oh, Augustine. Oh,
Yeah.
in the early days.
Yeah,
You guys
early
were
days.
always together.
That's because we were both foreigners, so like we related to being foreigners. He was too young for me. Like, he was in university.
No, because the first time we saw you, we were like, oh, you're Augustine's friend and you look young. So we thought like, oh, you're one of the...
I did look young.
Yeah, we thought you were a college girl.
Okay. Well, Zach knew me before that, though, because Zach saw me. Zach introduced me at my first stand-up.
Right. Zach knew you before that. Yeah.
Yeah, Zach introduced me at my first stand-up performance at Time Out KL in October 2009, which is 15 years ago now, which is like, my God, how has it been that long already? It has.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I miss those days.
It was so good. And yeah. Zach, you get another mention in my memoir where you asked me to host another SingStar night after, like, just before I moved. Because we used to do SingStar nights back in the day before One Mic Stand was a thing. Yeah, it was only like a few of us got together to do these SingStar parties at my place.
This a karaoke party or what?
Yeah. But so SingStar is a video game on the PlayStation, and yeah, right. So every now and then I organize for some of the comedians at the time to come over to do some SingStar songs.
And then after SingStar, we watched the BTS of Pirates.
Did we really? I remember us talking about
Sim, you put it on.
Did I really? Oh my goodness. Sim, he's talking about a porno. Pirate porno.
There's a porn called Pirates. And
You have to understand. You have to understand.
I have so many questions.
I bet you do.
Like, so you guys watch the behind the scenes, like there's the making of Pirates.
Yeah, because okay,
Zach
this
is
is the
gonna have to
time
explain.
when
I don't remember this at all.
Okay,
I
what
remember
was
this is the
having
time
the-
when Blu-ray was like all the rage, right? Because Blu-ray
yeah.
can store so much stuff. So in Dom had Blu-ray porn.
I did.
Okay.
Because she had that collection of like DVDs and Blu-rays and everything like that. And so I was
Okay.
like,
I
oh,
didn't know such a thing existed, but
It was
okay.
the only one that I had, because I'm not someone who generally watches pornography, but if you remember, I had this.
But when
whole
you do, you
pirate.
watch Blu-ray. Yeah.
If you recall, I had this whole pirate thing going on. Like I was writing a novel about a pirate, and so my now ex-husband, but then he was my husband. Then he bought me this porno about pirates. And it was on Blu-ray, so it became.
You like pirates. You love this movie.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
I no longer have this porno. I'm sorry, Zach. I let my
Okay.
ex-husband keep it.
oh,
Oh no.
I mean,
well,
I
he
could
probably
maybe
needs it
ask for a
now.
back. I don't
It's
know.
This I think I downloaded the wrong Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Yes.
Okay. So the BTS is part of the same DVD, Blu-ray, or
Yeah.
It's part of the the
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
it was on the same disc.
so
I
you guys
remember
skip the
remember
porn and watch
joking.
the BTS section.
Well,
Yeah,
I
mean,
remember joking about inviting over some of the guys to watch the actual porn with me, but I didn't remember watching the BTS with you.
no, because watching the actual porn was gonna be like,
Awkward, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, really awkward. Yeah. So, so at least the BTS part you can laugh about it.
Yeah.
Right. I understand that.
Really
Yeah.
funny, honestly. Like it's just a joke, right? Because you have to laugh at stuff like that.
The things
Wow.
you guys get up to in 2009. Yeah.
Well, no, it must have been later than that. Probably like 2011, maybe 12.
Wow.
Probably around then. Because that's when I started writing my pirate novel in 2011. So it must have been after that.
I joined in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is the age of innocence.
The whole
Where we know-
new group of comedians
who had
that
no
cocked up
idea about
all the-
Blu-ray porn. Yeah.
and sing star parties because I'd stopped doing them by then.
Yeah.
Aw.
Until Zach made me bring it back for one of my final going away parties that I had.
It's so funny when you said BTS in 2004. I immediately think of the Korean band.
Yeah.
I thought that's
yeah.
what he. I thought that's what he was
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about as well. And I don't
Right.
even
No.
listen to them, but I know the name.
Pirate. Yeah, Pirate BTS. I'm like, huh?
Mm. So, yeah.
Mm.
So sorry, Zach. That my
2024.
memoir.
Sorry, I should have said.
I'm sorry that my memoir is not as Baby Reindeer-esque as what you were hoping it was. I did not have anyone stalking me in Malaysia.
I'm saying there's potential.
Well,
So next stream is about pirates.
I said I don't have it anymore.
There's just to let you know,
It's gotta be a
there's
way.
two parts. There's two parts that
Yeah, there
there's
was
Pirates 1 and Pirates 2.
Was it the second one that I
apart-
had? Zach, do you remember?
Yeah,
A
you had
plot
the
so
second
good
one.
it had a
The second
sequel.
Yeah, I had the second one. I thought it was the second one. I didn't watch the first one. I just said the
I'm
second
surprised you don't know about Pirates. It's like the biggest budgeted like porn to be made ever.
Okay,
Sim clearly doesn't watch porn. He's married.
Everything I know about porn, I knew from watching the Papi and Zach show,
Papi and Grumpy.
Papi and Grumpy show. Remember that during the pandemic, you and Calvin would have like a perfectly normal podcast, and then at the end, you would introduce like a porn star. That's one of your favorites.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And what would happen? I'd be watching the whole stream, but then I'd keep quiet. And then when they mentioned this is the what do you call it already? It was the
I forgot. It was
don't you wish your girlfriend was hot like me segment.
Oh my
And then I'll pop up in the comment and say, "Hi guys." and Calvin and Zach would have Calvin and Zach would have a bit about like, oh look, is the uncle is here, you know, right on time.
Because that's what Sim was interested in. Yeah.
No, and then there was one episode where you guys had like one of your friends who was like one of your friends who was a lady who was a model or actress or something or DJ, and she was horrified that you guys had such a segment. And then I came in the comments and I said like, yeah, they do this all the time. I have nothing to do with this.
Wait, was this the podcast or it was a live stream so you could comment?
It was a live stream.
Yeah. Wow.
You can find it on Facebook. We still have the page up.
Okay. Okay. I might have to track down just to see what you're talking about. There was so many of you guys that were doing live streams and stuff back during the pandemic. It was during that time I felt very nostalgic for Malaysia because you guys were doing that sort of thing. I wasn't watching everything, right? But you know, and then when things started opening up again and the Crack House started doing Zoom shows, that allowed me to actually watch you guys doing stand-up again. I remember Sim was in the audience for a Zoom show that I was in one time. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I watched quite a few
Sim.
Zoom shows. Yeah.
Yeah, and Zach, you were performing in that first Zoom show that I saw at Crack House. That was one of the things that actually led to us reconnecting during the pandemic, I think. And me reaching out, I was like, hey, do you want to join a live stream of me doing Lego? was that because I screenshotted the performances on Zoom and shared them on Instagram. Yeah, there was so much, and because I was unemployed during a good chunk of the pandemic, and I'm just like, what else am I gonna do? Finally I can actually see what my Malaysian friends are doing again because I'm not so busy anymore. So yeah, I was very, very nostalgic and wondering when I was going to be able to come back. I'm like, oh, I want to go back now, but when can I?
Yeah.
So nobody does these streams anymore, huh?
Not very much.
No. You're talking about like live streams, like a podcast style live stream.
Well, my next step is I want to do like a Twitch like video gaming thing.
Yeah, you talked about that.
Yeah.
Do you have all the stuff that you need to set that up?
Okay, guys, I've got to leave in a minute, I think.
Okay, you got another delivery, Sim?
I hear the intercom, and also I think I got to check on the guys to see what they're doing.
That's all right. Thank you for joining us, Sim. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining and chatting with us.
Okay, thanks. And sorry again for being late. And
no, it's all right. Zach was later than you, so you're fine.
I had a lot of fun, and you guys are always fun. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay. I'll say bye to everyone,
bye,
and I'll leave now. Okay.
Bye to the 4 people watching. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Yeah. So I leave for KK in about like a couple of hours.
Ew. Well, if we can end the stream, I mean, we finished talking about Baby Reindeer anyway. Unless there's anything else that you want to bring back to the conversation about it.
Nope. You know what I want.
I will end the stream and then we can have the conversation about that because I'm not talking about that on stream any further.
Then see, people, you would have gotten more like extra 10 people.
No. If they want to go to my blog, the URL is dominicacreates.com and they can find the blog feed there. They can see how to spell my name with it's on the screen, Dominica. And creates is just the word creates.com. That's my website. It is not the most recent blog post because I wrote about being unemployed in my most recent blog post, but it's the one before that because I've just not been posting to my blog.
Blog.
What I should do is make that entry actually pay-per-view. Pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view?
I should make it pay-per-view now. I think I can set that up on my blog. I haven't looked into it, but I'm pretty sure that there are settings where I can make some blog posts as you have to be a paid subscriber to read. Be a good thing while I'm unemployed to be making money somehow, right? From my blog.
There's OnlyFans, you know.
Okay, I am not doing OnlyFans. I'm have
just saying,
too much self-respect for that.
people show feet.
I can, yeah. I can't even show feet right now. I'm wearing stockings.
I'm just saying, you know. Dom, you did not fall for that. Oh.
What? You mad at me now?
The heart-shaped pizza.
Oh. All right. I'm gonna end the stream. If you have more comments about this, let's discuss it off stream, okay? Thank you for anyone who's tuned in while we were live or is watching after the fact. Thank you so much for listening to our conversation. If you enjoyed it, let me know. I'd love to know if you would like me to do more conversations about the media that I'm consuming, because this was fun. And until next time, follow me and subscribe and hit the notification bell and all of that good stuff that you're supposed to do. Okay.